The waves looked calm, but the ocean was hiding something no one should ever see. That night, the beach didn't call for peace. It called for blood. The evening sun stretched across the ocean like fire spilling into the waves, and the beach glowed with a strange kind of beauty. Mia and her friends arrived laughing, their voices rising above the sound of the surf as they carried bags, blankets, and snacks down the sand. It felt like the perfect escape. Warm air, a clear sky, and the endless sea promising peace. They spread out their things, setting up a small spot near the shore where the tide rolled in just close enough to touch their toes. The boys ran toward the water, splashing and shouting, while the girls laid out blankets and watched, their laughter mixing with the crashing waves. For a moment, Mia stood apart, breathing in the salty wind, letting the cool grains of sand sink between her toes. She should have felt calm, but something tugged at her thoughts. As her gaze wandered toward the horizon, she froze. A lone figure stood far away, right at the line where the waves kissed the shore. The figure didn't move, didn't wave, just stood there, watching. Mia blinked hard, and in that instant, it was gone. She frowned, trying to convince herself it was only a trick of the light or her tired eyes. Shaking off the uneasy feeling, she turned back and saw her friends waving, her over, shouting for her to join the fun. Mia laughed nervously and ran back, pushing away the thought of the strange figure. But deep inside, she couldn't forget it. The waves seemed louder, the shadows longer, and the perfect evening felt like it carried a secret none of them were ready to discover. Night slowly wrapped the beach in silence, broken only by the restless crash of the waves. The group had built a small fire, its flickering glow pushing back the shadows that stretched across the sand. They sat close together, trading jokes and telling old ghost stories, their laughter masking the rising chill in the air. But then, just as the flames cracked and hissed, a new sound drifted across the beach. A laugh. At first it was faint, almost playful, carried with the wind, but it was wrong. Too drawn out, too hollow, echoing like it came from nowhere and everywhere at once. The friends fell silent, their eyes searching the darkness beyond the firelight. Mia's heart pounded as she turned toward the shoreline, and that's when she saw her. A pale woman stood in the shallow water, her skin almost glowing against the black sea. Her hair hung in wet strands that covered most of her face, but the parts Mia could see twisted with something unnatural. Her mouth curved into a smile that didn't belong on a human face. She didn't move, didn't even blink, just stood, as if the ocean itself had shaped her there. One of the boys, trying to be brave, cupped his hands and shouted, demanding to know who she was. But before anyone could breathe, the woman dropped, vanishing into the waves without a single splash. The water rippled once, then stilled, as though she had never been there at all. Nervous laughter broke out among them, shaky and forced, each one pretending it was nothing more than tired eyes and a wild imagination. Yet no one admitted what they felt deep inside, that something on this beach had awakened, and it was watching them. The fire had burned low, its glow shrinking to a dim circle that barely held back the shadows. The sound of the ocean grew heavier, each wave crashing like it carried a warning. Daniel, restless and wanting to act brave, grabbed an empty bucket and said he would fetch some water to put out the fire before they left. His voice was steady, but the others noticed how quickly he walked away, almost too eager to escape the circle of light. They watched him step into the darkness, his figure shrinking against the rolling tide until he was nothing more than a blur near the edge of the sea. Minutes slipped by. The group called his name, at first playfully, then with unease, but Daniel did not answer. The only reply was the endless hiss of waves and the occasional crackle of dying fire. Growing uneasy, Mia stood and scanned the shoreline. That's when she noticed something that sent a chill racing through her body. Footprints. Fresh, heavy footprints led straight into the water, pressed deep into the wet sand. But there were no prints leading back. Her chest tightened as she followed them with her eyes. And there, just at the edge of the tide, something gleamed faintly in the moonlight. She hurried forward and found Daniel's phone lying half buried in the sand, its screen cracked but still glowing. A missed call notification blinked on the display as though someone had tried to reach him only moments before. She picked it up with trembling hands, and at that exact second, the water stirred. From beneath the dark waves, a pale face slowly surfaced. Her wet hair hanging like seaweed, her wide smile stretched too far, her eyes unblinking. Mia staggered back, the phone slipping from her grasp as the waves swallowed the face once more. Panic swept through the group as Daniel's absence turned from worry into horror. Their fire was now little more than glowing embers, and the vast beach seemed endless, empty, and hostile. Suddenly, a scream split the night, sharp, raw, and cut off too quickly. One of the friends had vanished into the dark and another followed. Seconds later, their cries swallowed by the roar of the waves. The survivors scattered, running blindly across the sand, tripping and calling each other's names, but the only answer was that laugh, the same eerie, hollow laugh they had heard before, now louder, now everywhere. Mia's lungs burned as she sprinted toward the parking lot, her footsteps uneven in the shifting sand. She glanced back once and wished she hadn't. The woman was there, closer than ever, moving in jerks and unnatural twists, her soaked hair clinging to her pale face, her smile stretching impossibly wide. Each time Mia blinked, she seemed nearer, like distance no longer mattered. Heart racing, Mia stumbled into the empty parking lot and reached her car. Her hands shook as she fumbled with the keys, dropping them onto the asphalt with a sharp clang. She crouched to grab them, and a cold whisper brushed her ear. Her own name carried like breath. Trembling, she lifted her head toward the car window. Her reflection was not her own. Behind the glass, staring back at her, was the twisted face of the woman, those black eyes, that monstrous grin, smiling as if it had been waiting for her all along. Mia's scream tore through the night, but the sound was drowned by the crashing, waves that now seemed to laugh in unison. The screen went black, leaving only the echo of the ocean and the sense that the beach had claimed another soul forever. If you enjoyed this horror story, don't forget to like, comment, and share. Subscribe to Deep Epoch for more terrifying tales every week.